Hello, my name is Jane Wake and welcome to The Powerful Pregnancy. I'm the creator of this program. I'm a fitness expert and I've been working in the pre and postnatal field for over 15 years. Now today's workout is a cardio and strength workout, and we filmed it whilst the women in the program are at 19 to 23 weeks in their pregnancy. That means there'll be lots of adaptations in the workout for you if you are also at that point in your pregnancy and you've got any specific needs that you need, then hopefully we'll have adapted it specifically for you. And if we haven't, make sure you comment below after the workout so that we can create more workouts just like this one. Now we use bands in the class. It doesn't matter if you haven't got them. If you have, then great, you can use those. And you'll also need a mat. You don't need any shoes. You do need some water handy. You need some comfy clothing to wear, but then you're all set and ready to go. Hello, good morning. Well, it's good morning here. I don't know what time of day it is for you, but well done for joining us in today's workout. We are now into our second phase. So we are now working with 19 to 23 weeks. So all the girls now are in that phase of their pregnancy. And I think this is a really interesting phase. Lots of changes are happening in the body, and we're going to talk about those today. But if you are joining us in this phase, you do need to make sure you do the introductory workouts before you start this one. So if you're coming to this phase and you've started and you're brand new to the Powerful Pregnancy, but you started at 19 weeks, make sure you look at our introductory videos before you do this one, because this one's a little bit more advanced. But the girls have been working out with me now for well over a month, so they're all fit and ready to do this workout. But we've got some changes to do with this workout. So I know any difference in feelings at the moment, any kind of changes to your body that you've recognized? Yeah. Okay, so Jana is saying that she's feeling a little bit less stable, weaker in her legs. Anybody else felt anything at all? Feeling good? Feeling fine?
I think it's slightly better than, say, a month, 2 months back.
Okay.
So
Okay.
slightly more energetic, slightly less.
Yes. Great. Okay. So Aditi's saying she's got more energy, so that's brilliant. And I think the thing is, it's different for everybody, and this is why we have to adapt things. So what you'll see is that we will make some adaptations. Now I'm going to get everyone starting with rocking the baby, as we all well know. So you can do that as well. So you should know this movement. I've also noticed that in the studio, because it's quite cold outside, that we've put the heater on, and I'm now thinking we're going to get too warm. So if you see me disappear and run over to the side, it's because I'm turning the heating off. We're generally just warming up. So I want you to do this with us as well at home. Now, when you get to 19, 20, 21 weeks, the hormone relaxin starts to surge, and it can be a bit like this out-of-body experience. You kind of feel a bit wobbly and a bit and a bit weird. And that is the hormones changing in your body. So it has this effect of changing the way you feel, your bumps starting to become a little bit bigger as well. This can change your center of gravity. So the combination of all these things can mean you are a little bit more vulnerable. And whilst you may feel you've got the energy to really work out, as Aditi was saying, it might be that actually you need to be a bit more careful about your stability. Because the hormones are starting to loosen up your joints. So if we come now to standing with our feet hip distance apart, the first thing we're going to really focus on is the core of the foot. Now I've talked to you about this before, but I haven't really explained why we need to really focus on the core of the feet. So what I'm going to get the girls to do now is just do some foot pedals. So if you can do that as well while I explain what's going on with the feet. Now your feet have collectively more joints in them than any other part of your body when you think of the size of the feet compared to other parts of the body. There are more joints in your feet than anywhere else. So that means that the hormone relaxin, which helps to relax the joints, is affecting your feet. And this is why in pregnancy your feet can kind of flatten and get a bit wider. I don't know if anyone's noticed that before in previous pregnancies. Yeah, you feel your shoes are tighter. Sometimes you even have to go up a size in shoes. Now, this can also be to do with swelling. We know we get swelling in the feet. That tends to happen a little bit later on in pregnancy. But at this stage, you could find your feet are starting to flatten out a little bit, get a bit wider. So that's why working the core of the feet or the foot is so important. So what we're going to do now is Press the feet into the floor, and I want you to think of a reverse triangle. So there's 1 point in your heel, and then 2 points on the ball of the foot, one in line with your big toe, and then one in line with the little toe. So think of it like a reverse triangle. Now what I want you to try and do is press through the inside of the ball of your foot in line with your big toe, and imagine gathering your mat up underneath your feet. Okay, now this is really tricky because the temptation, and I'm going to do this wrong for a moment, if you just see my foot, the temptation is to do that, to screw your foot up. But actually, you're keeping your toes as long as you can. And that then works the arch of the foot. And I don't know whether you can see this in the camera, but if you could look at my foot there, pressing through the inside of the ball of the foot, I'm drawing my foot up. And you should be able to maybe see a little bit of movement in my foot. And I'm just working the arch of the foot. Now, the toes will come in a little bit, but you're not pulling them all the way up. The key way to recognize whether you're doing this or not is that the ball of the foot, the inside of the ball of the foot, shouldn't lift off the floor. So that stays down, yeah? So let's all try this. So press through the inside of the ball of the foot and just draw up through the arch of the foot as if you're gathering your mat up underneath your feet. And this will create an arch and relax them. Now the feeling, the sensation is deep in your foot. So it's literally using muscles and tendons deep up into the internal structures of your feet and up actually into your legs. So you're pulling up through those tendons and muscles in the feet. So the great thing about doing this though is that we have fascia that connects our body all the way through from the feet. And there are lines of fascia that will connect to your pelvic floor. And I know that's going to sound a little bit weird, but this is very well researched. This is research information. So we know that when you work through the core of the foot, there is inherent connection to the core of your pelvis. So we're going to try that all now. So I want everybody to take a nice big deep breath for me. Inhale. Exhale, relax. Press through the inside of the ball of the foot, draw up through the arch of the foot. Now, stop a fart from the back, scoop up from the back of your pelvic floor and then into your tummy. And then release. Yeah? Okay, do you want to come down? This has happened to Kirsten before. Oh, do you know what as well, Kirsten? I think it's very warm in here because I'm going to turn the heating off. Have some water. Guys, just hang on 1 second. Do you want me to get you a chair? Yeah. What I would do is, if you were feeling really bad, is I'd put you to lie on your left side. But if you feel okay in that position.
I feel alright sitting, but
yeah.
I'll let you know.
Yeah. And what have you eaten this morning?
I had a Weetabix and
yeah. Normal.
I think maybe it's just standing, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have very low blood pressure?
Possibly.
Okay. So what I'm going to say to Kirsten now actually is, can you get that checked? So anything like this, you need to. So next time you see your midwife, you need to get that checked. Yeah, but you just sit down there for a moment, and that's absolutely fine. Okay. So this is really important. When you get anything like this, you stop, immediately stop, recover, and then you can try again. And if the feeling comes back, then you stop. You don't do this session. You go and check with your midwife or with your GP or your healthcare provider, and just check to make sure everything's fine. So with Kirsten, if you need to sit out for the rest of the session, then that's fine. But just see how you feel. Yeah, cool. Okay. It's probably because I'm rabbiting on so much and just boring you, but that's probably what it is. Okay, so let's try again. So press through the inside of the ball of the foot, draw up through the arches of the feet, and then scoop up from the back of the pelvic floor and into your belly. Do you feel that strength? Yeah, and it's a really important. Now, the reason this is so important is because, let's do it again. So take a breath, inhale, exhale, draw up the feet, pull up through the pelvic floor. So because of the hormones relaxed, and what can happen is you can get this shifting of joints, and that happens in the pelvis. And what can happen is your pelvis is made up of a series of plates, essentially. And you have movement in the pubis symphysis. So think of the front of the pelvis here as 2 plates. I'm going to get everyone doing some rocking the baby as we say this. And so you've got movement at the front here, but you've also got the sacrum that sits into the pelvis at the back here, and you can get movement in the joint lines and the sacrum as well. So what can happen is you can get this very sharp pain either here or here. It can come to you in all sorts of different ways. It's really important to recognize when you get pain that you don't know whether it's this, but you need to get it checked out, okay? And this is the point in your pregnancy, and this is why we're doing all this stuff, because you won't get this information in just an ordinary exercise class, okay? So if you get any kind of pain around your pelvis, go and get it checked out. And it doesn't necessarily mean, it's just a common thing that happens in pregnancy, but it does mean that all this stuff that we're doing about using your core control is important, because that's going to help to lessen that movement and that shift in your pelvis. So by working your core, you can prevent this from becoming a problem for you. However, it can get to the point where you just feel pain all the time, and that's really serious. And therefore, when you get that, then it may be that you can't maybe do a lot of this exercise. But I can also adapt the exercises for you. So throughout this session, I'm going to be showing adaptations throughout. And it might be, Kirsten, actually, that you do some of these adaptations today if you do feel like standing up, but if not, you can stay there. So let's work with this, but I want you to really listen to your body at home, and if you feel any issues, do some of the adaptations that I'm doing, and then again, stop if you need to. And often these things are just temporary, and that's the thing. Often when you adjust your positioning, you find actually you're fine and you can do it. But the rule of thumb is if you feel any pain, you don't know what it is, you get it checked out straight away. So we're going to go back to the core of the feet. So press through the inside the ball of the feet, take a breath, inhale, exhale. Draw up through the feet, then scoop up from the back of the pelvic floor and into your belly. Work the shoulder blades down, bring your chin in, so you've got that feeling of an apple underneath your chin. We're now going to peel the right foot off the floor, pick it all the way up off the floor and circle that ankle around. So we're still trying to draw up through the core of the left foot. So you're pressing through the inside of the ball of the foot and drawing up through your foot. Now we're going to take the right leg back behind and squeeze into the buttock and then extend the left arm up. Work your shoulder blades down and then lift in through your center and just drop that right hip forward and down and just hold that position there. Just lift into your center and hollow and breathe. And then place the right foot down. Switch feet. So you're going to peel the left foot off the floor and lift the left foot off the floor and circle it around. So a couple of times each way. And then you're going to take the leg back behind you and extend the other arm up. So the right arm goes up, put your left hand underneath your bump, and then lift up from the back of the pelvic floor and into your belly, and see if you can feel your belly coming away from your left hand. And you can have your foot off the floor, you can have your foot on the floor. It's absolutely fine. Just make sure that you're not leaning into your right side as you do this. Squeeze your buttocks as well, and that's really important. So think of just giving your buttocks a squeeze, and that helps to stabilize you. Now go back to that pelvic floor and that belly lift. So stop a fart, stop a wee, lift into your belly. Work your shoulder blades down the back of your rib cage and just bring that chin in as you're doing this, and then release. Well done. Okay, we're going to do it one more time. Come forwards on your mats just a little bit, and then we're going to peel that right foot off the floor again, hold and balance, and then take your leg back behind, squeeze into your buttocks, work the shoulder blades down, keep that apple under your chin, lift into your center. But this time we're going to step the foot back down, and then we're just going to lift and lower. Just releasing tension through that right calf. And actually, if you put both hands underneath your bump now, because I want you to, again, to feel your core control. And this is so important. If you are feeling a little bit vulnerable, you now need to really start to think of stepping up that feeling of working your core, not just when you're exercising, but in everyday activities as well. So when you get out of the car, when you're picking up a toddler, when you're lifting a child up out of a cot, when you are moving something from a car, whether it's shopping, whether it's a suitcase, whatever it is, you're lifting, carrying, pushing, pulling, you want to use much more core control, and just be aware of that need to use your core. So each time you lift your heel up off the floor here, think of squeezing your bottom and lifting up through your pelvic floor and into your belly. Now, when your heel drops down, again, remember, we've all done this before, make sure the heel doesn't turn in. So you're trying to keep your feet fixed in those tram lines. Now we're going to hold the heel down, lift into your center, work the shoulders down, bring the hands together. Kirsten, don't move too much on this, because as you look behind you, it might make you feel dizzy. Take a breath, inhale, exhale, and then slide back to the right. Well done. And then come in, take another breath, inhale, exhale, and slide back to the left. Now lift up through your pelvic floor and into your belly as you do this. And then again, inhale, exhale, slide back to the right. And then inhale, exhale, slide back to the left. Well done. And then change legs. We're going to step forward with the right, peel the left foot off the floor, hold and balance, and rotate that left ankle around. Now draw up through the core of your right foot, a couple of times each way. And then take the leg behind, squeeze into your bottom, take the right hand up, lift into your center, work those shoulder blades down, lift up into your belly, breathe, inhale, exhale, lift up through your pelvic floor and into your belly, and then step your foot down, and then let's lift and lower through that left foot. Whose left calf feels tighter than the right? Anybody? Yeah? Okay, so we often feel that we've got that imbalance. One side is tighter than the other. So I can see Jana recognize that there straight away. She's got tighter on the left side. So if you have got a tighter side, work into lengthening out that side a little bit more. Try to even yourself out. And this is so important because tightness in the calf can correspond with tightness in your hip. And you want your hips to be free. And this is really important. We're talking about the fact that the hormones naturally in your body are trying to loosen everything up. But what can happen is that when the body feels vulnerable, muscles that are really keyed in and really responsive can sometimes over tighten. So whilst the hormones are trying to loosen up, what you can find is that your muscles will do the opposite because they're trying to protect you. And that can actually be a negative. Sometimes, okay, so hold your heel down. Sometimes that can lead to back pain. But when you get to later on in your pregnancy, take a breath, inhale, exhale, slide the left hand back. As you get later on into your pregnancy, what you want is released hips, not tight hips. So ironing out those kind of problems now is really important. So if you've got a tighter side, really work on trying to release it. Now make sure you're lifting in through your core as you do this, guys. So take a breath, inhale, exhale. And as much as you can, you're trying to keep your hips square to the front. And then release. Well done. Let's go back into rocking the baby. Okay, so we've warmed up now. We're going to do some lunges. Now, we've all practiced doing lunges before. There's also a masterclass that shows you how to do lunges. But what I'm going to do is, when everyone else is lunging, I'm going to do this. I'm going to put a couple of blocks between my knees, and I'm going to work into a little squat position, okay? And I'm going to get the girls to just try this as well now. So if you grab a couple of your blocks, actually you might want to work with 3 blocks. So depending on the width of your hips. So if you find that, you might find that you don't want to go knock-kneed, basically. So now, obviously, we're using blocks in the studio. You could use a cushion, you could use a rolled-up towel, anything you like at home, that's absolutely fine. So all we're going to do is get that core connection. And if you do have this condition, it's called pelvic girdle pain. It's sometimes described as symphysis pubis dysfunction. Don't worry about those names. The point is, if you feel pain, by using something between your knees, it helps to stabilize you. So I want you to feel this. So again, we're going to pull up through the core of the feet. So press through the inside of the ball of the foot. Draw up through the core of the feet. Now scoop up from the back of your pelvic floor and into your belly. And then what I'd like you to do is just drop your weight back. And if we can have a side view, please. You're just dropping your weight back into a squat. Now I'm linking my hands together because actually that helps you to connect your core. You can just press the palms together and then work the shoulders down, and that helps you to connect. Now really squeeze in on your block or your towel or whatever you've got between your knees, and now lift up through your pelvic floor and into your belly, and then lift back up and straighten. Do you feel how much more connected you feel? Yeah? So if you feel at all vulnerable in lunges, this is what you're going to do, and I'll be doing that throughout the class. So we're going to go over to the bar now and do some stretches, so we can have side views on this, please. So girls are going to go over to the bar. I want you to do a calf stretch first of all. Now, we've already started stretching out the calves, but I'm going to ask the girls to go into another calf stretch because this is an area of the body that can get really tight. Make sure that your heel isn't turning in, so I'm just going to get everyone to correct how you're feeling. You okay? Yeah?
I feel better when I move, which is where I started.
Okay, yeah, okay. So, yeah, Kirsten's feeling better, so that's good. So she needs to just keep moving. I think that's the important bit. Okay, so make sure that your heel isn't turning in. Bend the front leg now. Connect to your core. It's amazing how, when you lift up from your pelvic floor and into your belly, you feel a better stretch. And it really is key when you're stretching to use your core muscles. Okay, change legs. Other side, bring your body weight forward. Now we do a lot of stretches in these classes, again, not unlike conventional classes where you may just stretch at the beginning or at the end, and the reason for that is that we need to keep everything balanced, and I want to encourage you to just stretch whenever, however. You know, so for example, doing a calf stretch, you could be walking up the stairs and you could just drop a heel off the end of the stairs, hold onto the banisters, drop a heel off the end of the step, just to give yourself a stretch. when you're walking up the stairs, okay? Or you've been sitting at a desk all day and your quads are really tight, so let's do quad stretches. And you've been sitting, so you've been shortening the front of your thigh. So just stand up from your desk, hold onto the back of the chair, and just do a quad stretch. But do it really thoroughly. So what I want everyone to do now is to bring the knees kind of in together a little bit. Now push your kneecap down, and again, connect to your core. So lift up through from the back of the pelvic floor and into your belly. Push your kneecap into the floor and press your hip forward. And as you do that, you should feel a really good stretch through the front of your thigh, yeah? And then, Kirsten, what I suggest you do, if you feel you're standing still for any too long a length of time, just start doing rocking the babies whenever you want to, yeah? So change legs, guys. And again, make sure you're using that core connection. So you're pressing the kneecap to the floor, bringing the knees in parallel, and then pushing your hips forward and lifting up through the pelvic floor and into your belly. And you should feel that stretch. And when you use your core connection and you push your hip forward, you get a lovely length coming all the way up into those hip flexors. And this is the important part of the body that we want to keep really open. It's good. Okay, and then one more stretch is going to be for the hips. So we're going to cross the right foot in front of the left, and then everyone's going to drop their weight back and just sit back and go into a hip stretch. And as they do that, I'm going to ask everyone to lift their tailbone up a little bit, and then stick your bottom out a little bit, and then bend the supporting knee, the left knee. And at home, you need to find something you can hold on to that isn't going to fall over. So obviously, we've got the bar in the studio, so make sure you're holding on to something that's really stable. And then also, I want you to think about pushing your knee out to the side a little bit more. So just push and ease the knee out to the side, and then release and change legs. So we're going to do the other side now. Now, we're stretching out at this point. You can stop and stretch whenever you want to, and encourage everyone to do that. So if you feel something feels a bit tight, or you feel that you need to stop and have a bit of a rest, stop and go back and do some of these stretches. Okay, but for now, we're going to start to use our bands. So we're going to go into our strength work, but also it's a little bit cardio this as well. So we're going to hold on to the bands, and everyone's going to come back. And we're going to start off with our pulling action. Now, I'm going to do the variation with the blocks. I want everybody else to go into their lunge position. So you're going to step back with your right leg into your lunge position. That's it. And let's actually have a front view so you can see whether we are working with our feet nicely aligned. So that's going to be a challenge for you girls. You're not allowed to have your heel turning in because everyone's going to see your feet. So come up onto the balls of your back foot. That's it. And hold. You okay, Kirsten? Yeah? Okay. And then lift up really tall for me. So everybody come up nice and tall. Squeeze into your buttocks. Work the shoulder blades down. Have both bands into your right hand. Both bands into your right hand. Well done. And then you're going to pull the band back. You're going to drop down into your lunge or your squat position, as I am in. And then you're going to lift back up and squeeze into your buttocks at the top. Take a breath. Inhale, exhale. Use your core. Lower down. And then lift back up. Now, it's important that the band stays taut. So if your band is going a little bit slack, you need to just step back a little bit so the band is taut, because you actually want to feel that resistance from the band, but also it's also helping you to stabilize a little bit. And you need that pull of the band to help you with your stabilization. And then lift back up. Now breathe, inhale, exhale. Exhale as you lower down. And then once you come up to the top, breathe again. Inhale, exhale. Now I want everyone to connect to their core at the top. So inhale, exhale, lift up through your pelvic floor, then drop down. And that core connection at the top is really important. Now I'm really squeezing. Keep going, guys. I'm really squeezing on my blocks as I do this as well. Okay, go for one more. Sit. And then we're going to change arms and change legs. Now we need to switch our bands so that they are a little bit further across. And I'm not sure if we're on a side view now, but if we can have a side view. So other leg forward, make sure again that the heels aren't turning in. So come up onto the ball of your left foot. Sit. And then you're going to lower down and lift back up. Now, if you don't have an attachment site for your band, you can do this without. You can just do the lunges without having to use a band. That's absolutely fine. But do the upper body movement, because what this upper body movement is doing is creating a lovely rotation through your upper body. But that's also why you need to use your core control. But it's mimicking a walking or a running action. So it's a kind of a daily activity we would do with this kind of movement, and you're strengthening your body in that movement, which is all important. Bearing in mind where you are at in your pregnancy, you want to stabilize as much as you can. So lift up through that pelvic floor and into your belly as you're doing this. So keep it going. I'm going to just check everyone's going okay. Looking good. So I'm going to ask you to do 3 more, guys. 2 more. So make sure you're squeezing your buttocks up at the top. 1 more. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to have our bands way over to our left side now. So you can do the same at home. So make sure we're in the front view with the camera now, please. And then we're going to go into side-to-side movement. Now, when you're doing a side-to-side movement, so we're all going to start moving side to side, you can hold onto both bands with both hands and just get that pull of the band coming across the body. Now, when you're in that side-to-side movement, it's not as bad as a forward back movement when you get pelvic girdle pain or symphysis pubis pain. But it may be that for you, being wide is too much. And that's because it's harder for you to feel your core. So I'm going to ask all the girls now to try and feel their pelvic floor. And I'm going to get a yes or no. Can you feel it? Can you not feel it? Aditi, can you feel your pelvic floor?
I can.
She can?
More effort.
Yeah, it's a bit more effort. Good. Okay. Yeah? Yes, you can? Yeah. You can feel it, Kirsten? Fee, can you feel your pelvic floor? Okay, so everyone can feel their pelvic floor, but it is harder to feel it when your legs are wide. If you are really struggling to feel your pelvic floor, again, put something between your legs so you're in a narrower stance. Squeeze on your blocks or your towel or whatever you've got between your knees. And you can still do the side-to-side movement, but your legs are just in a narrower position as you're doing it. You're pulling through, but you're just in a narrow position. Okay, now we can start to work a little bit wider with this if you want to. And pull the arms around. So you're pulling with one arm and pushing with the other. And you know what? I didn't get the girls to adjust their bands. So make sure you've got your easier band in your right hand and your harder band in your left hand. If that makes sense. So you might have to switch them around. Now the reason for that is your pulling hand is going to be your stronger position. Yep. It's harder to push than it is to pull. And if you've got 2 bands of different resistance, then you want to put the harder band into your pulling arm, which is our left arm, and your easier band in your right arm, which is your pushing arm. Yeah? So hopefully that feels a little bit better now. Okay, how's everyone doing? Okay, now if you want to go bigger with your movement, you can. So just work at a pace that feels right to you. And everyone should be working at a different pace right now. And if we can have a side view on this now, if you look at our side-to-side movement, should have done this before, some of you, so you will recognize this movement, and the arms are just naturally coming across. But the most important thing all the while you're doing this, let's go back to front view, is that you're using your core control. So you're lifting up through your pelvic floor and into your belly as you're doing this, lifting through your center, lift up through your center. Let's go for 2 more and 1 more, and then we're going to hold it there. Now I'm going to ask everyone to just drop one of their bands and just hold their harder bands, the band with more resistance, and we're going to work with 1 band now. Then the girls are going to go into a lunge position. I'm going to go with the blocks again. So again, if you're feeling like you need a little bit more support, you can put blocks between your knees or whatever you've got to put between your knees. And we're going to drop down into a lunge position. So you're going to drop down and then lift back up. So I'm just going into a squat and a small movement. Everybody else is going to drop down and lift back up. So Fee, if you can switch legs. That's it. So you want to have your opposite leg forward, yep, to the band, hand that's holding the band. So left leg forward, right leg behind. Now let's have a side view on this. You don't want any forward movement in your body. So Aditi, you need to check that you're not moving forward. Come up onto the ball of your foot on your back leg. That's it. And then drop down and lift back up. That's better. Well done. Now you push the arm forward and then lift back up. And push the arm forward and lift back up. Now make sure you're coming all the way up to the top and squeezing into your buttocks. So again, if you're doing it with blocks, you just do a very small squat position and then lift back up. So a little squat and then lift back up. We're going to go for 2 more. Is everybody getting a bit warmer now? Yeah. 1 more, and then we're going to change sides. Well done. Okay, so we're just going to move the band across and then change. Oops. So pressing through with the left hand. So have your right leg forward, your left leg back behind you, and then you're going to press through and then lift back up. Press through and then lift back up. So drop down and then lift, and you're going vertically down in your lunge position and lifting back up. So drop vertically down and lift back up. And just keep your body moving, keep lifting in through your center as you're doing this. Keep breathing it through. I think we're all gonna have to take our long sleeve tops off, aren't we? We're all getting a bit warm in here. We might have to pause and do that in a second. Everybody okay? Yep. Breathe. Nice big breaths. Now lift up through your pelvic floor, then drop down. So you always signal your deep core muscles to activate. And hey, what have we not thought about doing this in the last 5 minutes? Our feet. So can you draw up through the core of your feet? It's hard to do it when you're working everything else, but see if you can. So think about that, drawing up through your feet to make you more stable. And go for one more set. Well done. Now we're going to do our side to side on the other side. So we're now going to grab both bands. So now you need to put your harder band into your right hand, your pulling arm, and your easier band into your left hand. Okay? And then we're going to move side to side. So you can keep your hands together as you're doing this. You can separate the hands. You can move the hands close to the body. You can move the hands away from the body. Now, obviously, the further your arms are away, the more core control you need. So I want everyone to go at their own pace, and actually everyone's doing slightly different movements, and that's fine as well. Think about your posture all the time. There's a tendency to maybe drop the head, maybe to not think about using your core enough and thinking about stabilization through your back. So just make sure you're reminding yourself of your body positions. Make sure you're drawing your shoulder blades down all the time. Again, if you have any issues where you feel a little bit vulnerable through your pelvis, feeling a little bit of discomfort, then you're going to put the blocks between your knees. If you still feel pain or discomfort, you're going to stop and you're going to go and get some help and some advice from whoever is looking after you. Okay, now keep moving. How are you all doing? Everybody okay? How are you feeling? Yeah? Cool. Okay, and then let's go for 5 more. 4 more. Now make sure you're using your core muscles as you do this. And if we can have a side view camera, you'll see that I've got my feet nice and narrow. So I'm working with a much narrower position and everyone else is going a little bit wider, but we're still able to move in the same plane of movement. Okay, and rest it there. Well done. Okay, so if you want to take tops off, you can. If you want to do another stretch, you can right now. So you can do that at home as well. You can go into a stretch if you want to grab some water. And then we're going to go through the movements one more time. So we're going to keep the cardio going. So we're going to do slightly less reps. We're going to count 8 to 10 reps on each movement, but we're going to keep it moving. Yep, so we're going to go back into our first move. So remember, you can use the blocks if you want to. Grabbing both bands. And then pulling with the hands. So you're going to drop down and then lift back up. Drop down and then lift back up. So into your lunge position. Right leg back behind you. Other one feet. Well done. And then drop down and then lift back up. Perfect. Okay, so come on to the ball of the foot on the back leg and then really lift up tall at the top. And Aditi, I need you to turn your heel out for me just a little bit because it's turning in. So it can come up. Put the ball of your foot where your heel is right now. Put the ball of your foot where your heel is. Go back, go the other way. So take your foot, that's it. But come up, take your heel off the floor. That's it, you got it. Yeah, you got it. So now drop down and lift up taller. Lift. Yeah, perfect, well done. Okay, I hope everyone's okay at home. Now I've lost count. We've probably done our 8 to 10, haven't we? Let's change sides. So other side, so move the bands across towards the left side. And then again, we're going to drop down and lift back up. So drop down. I'll try and count this time and then lift back up. Now draw up through the arches of your feet. And if you're trying to do that at home, let's have a side view on this. If you're trying to do that at home, you're trying to draw up through the arches of your feet and you're thinking, I can't feel the arches of my feet. Do not worry. You know, the more you do this, the more you'll get used to it and the more you'll go, oh, actually, I can feel it. You know, so it's just a question of just keeping on practicing, coming back to these workouts. You should be doing them at least 3 times a week if you can. You've also got all the master classes as well. So if you haven't got time for a workout, you can do a masterclass instead, or you could do our shorter workouts that we've also got. Let's go for one more and then release. Well done. Perfect. Okay, so straight into our next side-to-side movement. So let's go with the front view on this, please. So you're now going to go side to side. So you're moving your body across. Now you can really get your heart rate up when you're doing this because it's a big movement. So I want you to think about your pace and your intensity. Now you should always be working at an intensity where you can talk. Obviously I'm talking all the time, I never stop, which means no one gets a word in edgeways. But Fee, how you doing? Feeling fine? Okay, Kirsten, how's that lightheadedness? You okay? Good, you feeling okay? Jana? Yeah? DT? Yeah? Keeping up. Anyone feeling their breathing getting heavy? Yeah, good, good, that's good. We want that. We want the breathing to get heavy. That's good. That means you're working out. That's cardiovascular. You just have to make sure that you can talk. Okay, so the girls can talk back to me. That's really, really good. And you want to make sure that you're not going to a point where you really feel you're really out of breath. So you want to feel your breathing rise, yeah? But if you feel you're getting really out of breath and you really can't speak, then you've gone too high. So you need to bring it down. So slow it down, have a little rest. Maybe go to rocking the baby, do some stretches, and then come back to it. Okay, and now let's go into our forward position. So just drop one of your bands. And then nice and tall, squeeze your buttocks at the top. So let's have the left leg forward, right leg back behind in your lunge position. And then you're just going to drop down. I'm going to come forward a little bit. So you're just going to drop down and then lift back up. And I'm doing a really small squat with this position. I'm hardly moving my legs, and that's because with a push forwards, it's much harder to drop into a lower squat. So I'm just using a very small movement, but I'm still working really hard. And where I'm working really hard is in the core. So I want to make sure all of you guys are feeling strong in your core as well. So lift up through your pelvic floor and into your belly. So lifting through your center, yeah? And work those shoulder blades down as you're breathing through. Let's just go for 2 more. Breathe. And then 1 more, and then we're going to change arms and change legs. So other side. So you might need to move your bands across a little bit. And then other side. And then again, drop down and lift back up. So we're trying to keep this nice and continuous now. So this really is cardiovascular as well as strength, core, everything going on there. And this is what we need, yeah? We need that combination. We know from research that all this cardio you're doing right well, it's having an effect on your baby, a positive effect on your baby. So isn't that great? Isn't that amazing? Whilst you're training, your baby's having a little training session as well. Okay, and go for 3 more. Now, are you finding your pelvic floor? Yes? Don't forget it. Make sure you're finding it. And then well done. We're going to turn side to side. See if you can pick it up quite quickly. So we're keeping the body moving. Check on your intensity. Can you talk? Can you string a sentence together nice and comfortably? Make sure you can. And you should be able to talk pretty much continuously, actually, because we want a more moderate intensity. So you can feel yourself getting out of breath, but you are in control. You can talk quite happily. And then just keep that going, and we're going to go for about another 7 of these, maybe a few less. Everybody okay? Yeah? You're on your last move, girls. Woohoo! And let's just do 3 more. So lift up through those core muscles. 2 more. Last one. Yes, we made it. Well done. Okay, so let's go back to the bar and do some stretches. So you can do some stretches as well. So our 3 main ones that we tend to do a lot of the time are our hip stretches, our calf stretches, and our quad stretches. So girls are doing the calf stretches first of all. When you're doing your calf stretches, make sure that your foot isn't turning in. So keep those heels nicely aligned and lean forwards, keeping the back leg straight. But again, use your core connection. So lift up from the pelvic floor and into your belly. And then change legs. So again, just release through those calves, lift into your center, lift up through from the back to the front. And we're doing kind of static stretches at the moment. One of the things you'll notice when we get later on with the program is we tend to do more moving stretches. And that's a lot to do with the fact that we need to free up your hips more as we go into the later stage of the pregnancy, and we'll be doing lots of lovely movements to help you with that. But bearing in mind how Kirsten's feeling at the moment, if you find staying still, being motionless is not right for you, then just Go back into your rocking the baby whenever you want to, because this in itself, it's not a stretch, it's a mobility exercise, it's moving your body, it's releasing tension. And sometimes just moving actually is what you need to do. And this is where that whole listening to your body is so important. You listen to what your body needs. And one of the key reasons why this is so important in pregnancy is that your ability to listen to your body is exactly what you need in birth. So when you are giving birth, your ability to connect to your body and to listen to what your body is telling you is so powerful. I cannot tell you how important it is. So this is why all of this that you're doing is in preparation. All that kind of focus on feeling your core, feeling your body, recognizing when you feel pain, when you feel discomfort, and how to alleviate that. All of that is all part and process of this journey you're on, and why all of this information is really important. How are we doing? Good, good? Perfect. Okay, so what I'm going to ask the girls to do now is to come down to the floor. Now again, I'm going to work with some adaptations for you if you are getting any pain. Just noticing when I went down to get that block there, I very much went down with my knees together, and or my knees not too far apart. Just be careful of that if you do have any pain in your symphysis pubis. So carefully come down to the floor. We're going to come down and put a block underneath, or if you've got a cushion or a towel at home, underneath the right knee, and then we're going to come forward into a hip flexor stretch. But what we're going to do is we're going to move with it, because I'm just very conscious that Kirsten might need to move a little bit. You okay? Yeah? And this is just a nice kind of rocking movement. And as I said before, as we go later on into this program, we'll do a lot more of these kind of moves. And just be aware that things like this are really nice for the body to do. Let's hold it still now, though, and we're going to put one hand into the back. I'm going to come forward a little bit. One hand into the back of the pelvis. And then one hand just below your bump and over the front of your right thigh. Now I want you to just press your right hand into the small of your back and drop the hand down, and just kind of push your tailbone down a little bit, and then lift the skin up over your right thigh. Now take a breath, inhale, exhale, and lift up through your pelvic floor and into your belly as you do that. And you're just trying to tuck your tailbone underneath you. Now if you do have any issues with your symphysis pubis, which are the plates at the front of the pelvis, or with the sacrum going into the pelvis at the back, and you get any pain, this position may not be right for you to do. So what you're going to do instead is you're going to put a block between your knees, and you're going to do the same thing, and you're just going to do it with your legs together. So you're just basically lifting your bump up and pushing your tailbone down in order to create length at the front of your pelvis here. So that's how you're going to adapt it, yeah? So just lift up from the back and press forward, okay? Okay, and then change sides. Now it is actually quite hard to balance in this position. I was just noticing Kirsten feeling a little bit wobbly there. Checking she's okay. So connect your core, yeah? So you feel that wobbliness. We've all, now is the point where you get that more wobbly feeling. So I want you to connect your core as you do this. So do the same thing again. So lift up through the front, come forwards a little bit. Take a breath for me, inhale. Exhale, lift up from the back of your pelvic floor into your belly, and then drop the tailbone and lift the skin up over that left hip. Feel a bit more stable? Yeah? So let's do that again. Take a breath, inhale. Exhale. Lift up through. And we didn't move on this one, did we? So we'll do that afterwards. Doesn't matter, we can move. So you just move forwards and backwards. And even though we're not at that stage in our pregnancy yet where we need to do more of this, it's still nice to do. And one of the things that's not good to do is to sit down in the evenings. I know that sounds awful, you should be able to sit down, but sitting and just sitting still and slumping down is not great for our bodies. We want to free our bodies up and keep them moving. So you could, in the evenings, you could have your exercise ball at home, and you could use your exercise ball. We haven't got one in the studio today, but we'll show you some movements you can do with an exercise ball. But you could just do a movement like this. Yeah, rather than sitting on the sofa, you could just go into this kind of movement. You're losing your balance. Yeah, so Aditi's feeling it as well. So let's just hold it one more time and use the core. So inhale, exhale, lift up through. If you're at home and you are wobbling a little bit, you can always put your hand on the sofa. You don't have to do it without a little bit of support. That's fine. Okay, so now though, we're going to come down into an on all fours position. And if you have any problems with your wrists, I'm going to just come forward a little bit. So we can see a side view on this one. If you have any issues with your wrists in this position, I want you to come up onto your knuckles, yep, so that your wrists are straight. So when you get issues in your wrists, it will be because you are twisting your wrist and there's a carpal tunnel, which is there's a space there for the nerves to go through, and when you flex your wrist like that, you lose that space and it pinches on the nerve, and if you've got any kind of inflammation in there or swelling, that's why you're going to get that pain in your wrist. So you want to keep your wrists straight, yep? So if you do feel any discomfort there, go up onto your knuckles. And what I want you to do is just hold an on all fours position and really try to connect your pelvic floor. So knees in line with hips, tuck the elbows in, draw the shoulder blades down, apple under your chin. So you're bringing your chin in, you're looking down at the floor. And I want you to bring your weight forwards and backwards. So just move, slide forwards and backwards. But here's the thing, I want you to imagine you're balancing a glass of water on your back as you do this. Okay, yep, so you've got to keep your back completely still. And in this position, and if we can go on to the side camera, please. I'm just looking at Aditi's back here, and I want a nice little lift in her tailbone, and I want her to draw her shoulder blades down a little bit more. That's it. And then slap, much better. Do you see how that's working your upper body more now? So it's creating more strength in the upper body. So really tuck the elbows in. Imagine you're holding a pencil underneath each armpit. So tuck your elbows in and lift in through your core. Now, can you find your pelvic floor when you're doing this? So think about it. You're not going to move your tailbone. You're going to keep that back long. I'm just going to get Kirsten to lift a little bit. That's it. But what will help now is if you can connect your core, Kirsten. Yeah? So bring your chin in, so eyes above your fingertips a little bit. That's it. Head's much better now. That's it. So now, try lifting in through your core muscles. So lift up through from your pelvic floor and into your belly. Lifting through your center. Do you feel that control? Okay? That's good. Just pause for a second for me. Just hold still. Do this as well at home. Tuck the elbows in and then just stop far from the back, stop away from the front. Now lift up and up and up and up and up and up into your belly. And then release it. And do that one more time. So lift up and up and up. So stop a fart, stop away, lift up into your belly and lift up. No movement in the back. You're just really controlling it. Now move with that bit of control through the deep core muscles. So on all fours position is quite a nice way to try and connect to your pelvic floor, and it's a really good position for you to be in anyway, so it's a good way to work your core muscles. Okay, for now though, we're going to relax. So now we're going to go into our puppy dog. So take the hands in front, and knees are wide, and you're just going to drop down and just lengthen through your spine. Sending the tailbone up and just relaxing and releasing. Now hold this position, and I would like you to focus on your breath for me. So inhale, exhale and relax. Now breathing is really important. We know how important breath is to the diaphragm and to the pelvic floor. We've talked about this a lot before. When you breathe big, your pelvic floor can move big because your diaphragm's moving, your pelvic floor is moving. So without even thinking about your pelvic floor right now, you can just breathe, inhale, exhale, get the diaphragm moving. And as you exhale, really kind of relax as you're breathing. Now, because of the position of your body right now, with your bottom high, you're actually opening your pelvic floor. And I want you to go with that feeling now, because we've been doing a lot of lifting the pelvic floor. And when you do your pelvic floor exercises, which you must be doing every single day, and you can do them wherever you like, however you can do them whilst you're journeying to work, you can do them whilst you're sat in front of the TV or at your desk. You can do them anytime, but just make sure you are doing them every day. But make sure you are lifting your pelvic floor, but that you are also letting your pelvic floor relax and come down. Here in this position is a great way just to think about the pelvic floor opening. And that kind of mind connection is so powerful, because that's what you want when you're giving birth. You want the pelvic floor to open. So if you are now just breathing, inhaling, exhaling, and just thinking about relaxing the pelvic floor area and letting it go, that's a really, really good thing for you to do. Now, if you're happy staying in this position, then please do. If you feel you need to come out of it, come out of the position. You could come into a kneeling position with me if you prefer. But if you're happy to stay there, you can stay there a little bit longer, and then just take a couple of more breaths and try to recognize your breath. and what breathing feels natural and good to you. And that's important. Just connecting and being conscious of your breath is a really, really good thing to do. So I hope you've enjoyed this session. Remember to do your pelvic floors. Remember to do at least 3 classes a week. You can do a couple more if you want to, but 3 is definitely enough. And just keep moving, you know, go for walks, go for swims, have a look at all the guidelines that we've got. We've got lots of blog posts on various different types of activities. Just keep yourself moving gently. Remember, it needs to be moderate. You don't want to move too fast. And keep coming back to our videos. And remember to make comments in the videos. When you've completed a video, make a comment, then we know you've completed it, so we can go, yay, well done. And also remember to hit subscribe as well, because the more people that subscribe, the more content we can provide for you. Hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you again soon. I hope you enjoyed the workout, and if you did, please do like and subscribe to our channel so that you can get more workouts in this series. Also, please do comment below. Did you find the adaptations worked for you? Remember, if you didn't find they did, we can make new content just for you. So comment below, let us know what your needs are, and we will do a video just for you.